Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
It's been an eventful last couple of days in boxing. It's been an eventful week pretty much. And I guess I kind of figured that to start off this week, which is a Monday, well it's technically Sunday, but it's a Monday when this goes up, I'm going to call it review of the week. Now I'm going to see how this does. This is the first one. And if it does well, make this a recurring thing moving forward, going on Mondays, just reviewing things that happened in boxing over the last few days, over the last week. Well, obviously we start off with the fights on the weekend. Now, Gervonta Tank Davis, alright, he beat Mario Barros in 11 rounds. Now, honestly, I genuinely thought that Gervonta Davis would have an easier time in this fight than he actually did. Why? Because Mario Barros, although he fought 140 pounds, alright, so Gervonta is moving up in weight. Barros is not, at least from what I've seen in the past, not the biggest 140 pounder in the world. So I kind of thought this would be, in terms of the size difference anyway, it'd be fairly even Steven. It was a tricky fight for Gervonta Davis. He was ahead on all three judges' scorecards at the time of the stoppage in the 11th round. Make no mistake about it, early on in that fight, Barros was having his success. Alright, Davis was able to break through. We saw Floyd Mayweather in the corner in between rounds. I believe he actually told Tank Davis that he was behind the unofficial scorecards. So he really went out there and put a charge on at the 11th round. Now, with this, Tank Davis has a version of the WBA title at 140 pounds. Josh Taylor is undisputed at that weight. That's just end off. Right? Gervonta Davis, if he fought Josh Taylor, which I can't see that happening, truth be told, I genuinely can't see it, but if he fought Josh Taylor, because they did have back and forths, I'd make Josh Taylor heavy favourite. We did see, I remember actually Josh Taylor shared this on Twitter, that I think Tank Davis, or it was Leonard Ellaby actually, I think it was, who said that Josh Taylor's not really a draw. Look at his last fight, and Josh Taylor correctly pointed out, because of the silly guidelines, they were only allowed 1,000 people in it anyway. So, I mean, 1,000 people was all they were allowed, so that's all they could get. So for Leonard Ellaby, I'm sure Leonard Ellaby knew that. Maybe he was just, trying to troll a bit or trying to get something out there. But Tank Davis moves on. We need to see what he does next. Is he going to stay at 140? I suspect he's probably going to go back down to 135 pounds. I suspect anyway. There's a good fight. Like, I'd love to see him against Ryan Garcia. Him against Ryan Garcia be an interesting fight. Him against Devin Haney be a good fight. I can't see that fight happening because I think they're both in the May. Well, I know. Haney's not with Eddie Hearn now, is he not? I think his contract with Hearn's expired. So we'll need to watch this space. I like watching Tank Davis. I do. Very talented fighter. He's an excellent fighter. He is. You can just tell by the look of him, just his whole stature, that he's built very powerfully, and he really can punch. I mean, pound for pound, you would have to say he's one of the hardest punchers in boxing. I mean, especially like even at that weight, even from 130, 126, 135, you see punchers there, obviously big punchers, but you don't see the kind of power that Gervonta Davis produces. Certainly not on a regular occurrence. You do get big punchers in those divisions, make no mistake about it, but I think Davis is just a special type of kind of puncher that he's just devastating. Also on the undercard we saw Erickson Lubin. Now Erickson Lubin is a fighter who I've watched over the years, and I remember when he fought Charlo, I think that was 2017 if I'm not mistaken. I remember watching him on the come up and thinking, this guy is good. He's got decent power, very good boxing ability, does everything very good. At the time with Charlo, I thought that fight was too soon. I actually, but believe it or not, I thought it was too soon, but I gave him a chance in it. Although I did feel at the time he needs maybe even another 2 years before he's ready to go in there at world level. He was obviously knocked out in the first round. It was quite a devastating knockout. Lubin's chin is extremely, extremely fragile. That's the thing with a couple of guys at 154 pounds. You look at someone like Tony Harrison. I think Tony Harrison now is probably seen better days. But Harrison, when he was on the cup as well, like Lubin, I think Harrison's a bit more talented naturally, but very good fighter, very good fundamentals, excellent boxer. Excellent boxer. Again, can't take that punch. So you look at Hurd. Hurd was able to hurt himself. Hurd's not really a puncher, was able to stop Harrison, stuff that. Good boxers, but they're let down by their chin. And I think Lubin I think Lubin's in 154 pounds. It's a division where once Charlo moves up, and I suspect he'll beat Castano. Once he moves up and vacates those titles, there's a very good chance Erickson Lubin can pick one of them up. You know, he got the win over Jason Rosario, stopped Rosario. I've never been like, I know even when he beat J-Rock, I just saw J-Rock being just completely switched off and not at the races in that fight. I mean, I thought J-Rock would win that fight comfortably, and early on in the first couple of rounds he was doing fine against Rosario. Then he got a cut, and then his whole game plan just went out the window. So Rosario, good fighter, but I picked Lubin to win. I thought Lubin would win on points, and I thought if he did stop Rosario, it would be late, and it'd be accumulation. Didn't think it'd be as early as it was. So big up to Erickson Lubin. Again, onwards and upwards. We obviously saw Julio Cesar Martinez out there as well. That he was fighting in Mexico. That was on a co-promotion. Eddie Hearn and Canelo both ran that. I mean, literally, it's shameful when you think about it. That was a great fighter like Julio Cesar Martinez. Entertaining, value for money, big puncher, down there, flyweight. And the promotion is just not really there for it. And people still don't really know fully who he is, which I think is just tragic because he's such an entertaining fighter, such a good fighter. I think he's talking about unifications next. You would obviously think the first name country might be Sonny Edwards. Don't know how easy that fight's going to be made. And I rate Sonny Edwards very highly. I think he is a fantastic boxer. You know, Sonny Edwards, very, very talented boxer. I don't know how easy that fight will be made because you're dealing with Eddie Hearn and Canelo. Well, you're dealing with Eddie Hearn on the matchroom end anyway. I know he's promoted by Canelo as well, or he's managed by Canelo. But they're going to try and have to deal with Warren on Sonny Edwards' side. Maybe MTK will get involved and maybe make it a little bit easier. But I still think from a promotional point of view, that fight's hard to make. It's a shame because I quite like that fight, you know. Obviously, we know what Julio Cesar Martinez did to Charlie Edwards, Sonny Edwards' brother. But Sonny Edwards is night and day better than Charlie Edwards. Charlie Edwards is really a poor man's world champion in the nicest way, but he fought, what was the guy's name? Something begins with, I can't remember the guy's name. He fought Paddy Barnes. Can't remember his name. Christoph something or Chris something like that. But he wasn't that good. You know, he was not a devastating world champion. He had a little easy title defense and he got blown out of the water by Martinez. It's a trickier fight. I would still make Martinez favourite. I would against Sonny Edwards, but it's a much trickier fight than Charlie Edwards. Make no mistake about that. So we obviously had that. We want to talk about the Vasily Lomachenko undercard. One of the cards we had in the undercard was a fighter whose name was extremely difficult for me to pronounce. I will put a picture of him on screen. You know who it is. He fought Rob Brandt. Excellent performance. I was very pleased with that. I thought that would go a little bit, again, like Rob Brandt is nothing to write home about. He got a good win over Murata. It has to be said. Murata was just not at the races in that fight, and I didn't see that coming. Obviously, he lost the immediate rematch by knockout in the second round. So I kind of thought Brand's probably seen better days. You know, again, he tried to move up to 168 pounds in the World Boxing Super Series. Lost to Jürgen Bremer, who, you know, I mean, the pyramids probably look at Jürgen Bremer and think, Jesus, glad we're not your age. Seriously. So I know you could say the size difference, but even still, yeah, that was a couple of years ago as well. So, you know, real impressed with that performance, done very well. Lomachenko, I already done a post fight on Lomachenko versus Nakatani. You know my 2 cents on it, you know my thoughts on it already. But Teofimo Senior has been saying they'll open to the rematch, they'll entertain in the rematch. I actually have a quote here because I'm wanting to read something else. I've got a quote from Manny Pacquiao. Well, not a quote from Manny Pacquiao, but I've got some info on Pacquiao, which I'm going to touch on now in a sec. But I actually see what Lomachenko has here. Vasily Lomachenko asked about Teofimo Lopez's team suggestion he'll have to make concessions in order to secure a rematch. He said, "You asked me about money, a question for me. I've always answered your question. I've always told you in boxing I want legacy and legacy only." He wants that rematch, and a lot of people have said that this was the best they've seen Lomachenko, certainly at 135 pounds. And I agree with that. I think that at 135 pounds, that's the best he's looked. If you take Anthony Crawler out of the equation, I mean, that was really, Crawler retired in the very next fight. Crawler had seen better days. We'll take that out. And Crawler was not, at the time, a top 10 lightweight. So we'll take that out of the equation. No disrespect to Anthony Crawler. But just facts matter. This was the best against top 10 opponent. This was definitely the best he's looked at lightweight. I will maintain that. I seen someone in the comments saying that they thought that Nakatani was just poor. Nakatani's not a poor fighter by no stretch of the imagination. Lomachenko was on the ball there. He had the bit between his teeth. He really went for the jugular early on, and I thought Lomachenko performed brilliantly. I see a lot of people back and forth. I was watching Chris Andre. I haven't watched his post, but I'm going to watch it after I finish here. But I was watching his prediction video, and in Chris's opinion, Lomachenko at 135 pounds is still, in his opinion, the best. If you take everything out of the equation, Lomachenko, fully fit, fully healthy, in his opinion, he's the best. It's for me, it's definitely a toss up between Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko. It really is. I would say in terms of just sheer skill, yes, I would agree that Vasily Lomachenko is the best at 135 pounds. If you're talking about sheer skill, yes, there's no one more skilled, than Lomachenko. But what I've always felt is that with Lomachenko, especially at this weight, because it's his natural walk around weight, but you would say he's really a super featherweight. Teofimo Lopez, we know, struggles to make weight. I suspect that's the reason why the Kambosos fight didn't happen, is that Teofimo Lopez just was having a hard time making the weight cut. Maybe he felt like he needed more time to get ready. So yourself, at some stage, and it happened in the first fight, and I reckon it may happen in the rematch. This rematch is interesting though to me. I'm struggling here to think who I'd pick. I probably would edge towards Teofimo, but it's interesting. But as I was saying, you could be more skilled, but it comes a time where someone is just that much bigger. They're just that much bigger, they're that much stronger, they just hit that much harder, that they negate a lot of your skills. They do. There's been, I always try and think of an example, and whenever it's mad, whenever I actually try and think when I'm recording, I can never kind of get into my head good examples. Actually, I have an example. I would say probably Paddy Barnes against Jay Harris. If you ever seen that fight, go and watch it. Jay Harris, a flyweight, because Jay Harris is a natural flyweight. He was just so much bigger than Paddy Barnes. Paddy Barnes came into that fight 3-time Olympian. I think he won 3 Olympic bronze medalists. So you would say on paper, in terms of just sheer ability, you would say Paddy Barnes is superior. Paddy Barnes couldn't do it with Jay Harris. Jay Harris was just and Jay Harris showed skill in that fight too, made no mistake about it. He was just able to ragdoll him. Ragdoll him. So whatever skill Paddy Barnes had, it was offset by the size of Jay Harris and the punching power. Probably a lesser extent, that fight, just because you're talking about Lomachenko, Teofimo, but same kind of principles apply to it. So the rematch, if and when it happens, I'm all for it. I've no complaints about it. If they announce it tomorrow, I'd be very happy. At least it'd be on Sky as well. So I know Sky, a lot of BS, but at least it's not on Fight TV. The first fight was on Fight TV. It was on Fight TV. That's a great fight. To have it on Fight TV, no. At least it's on a platform if and when it does happen. So I'm all for that. In terms of other fights that happened over the weekend, we saw Jay Harris, actually speaking to him, fight on Friday on the MTK show. It was an interesting fight. The guy's name escapes me, but I remember looking at his box rec when that fight was announced, and I looked up a few little clips of him, and I thought he looked dangerous all right. I picked Jay Harris to win that fight, but I thought that opponent looked dangerous, and he really did. It was, I had an even Stevens going into I think it was the 8th round, even Stevens, because it seemed like Jay needed to warm into that fight early on. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th round were great rounds for Jay Harris. He was really kind of taking a bit of a foothold. Wasn't as busy as we're normally used to seeing him. I wonder what the punching power was like in there. Because this is Jay Harris, we know, has been in there. I've actually had Jay Harris on this channel, and he actually said that Martinez, we're going to mention Martinez, as big a puncher as he is, it's more stinging, every shot hurts, as opposed to being a just explosive, concussive puncher. Was it the 8th round? He got stopped by body shots. They looked painful. It was a very good scrap. Sadly, Jay Harris didn't get he came out with a loss, but fingers crossed he can regroup and come again, hopefully. No doubt about that. In terms of other news, we have... I want to touch on some of the other fighters who were on that card. We saw Paul Butler on that card. Paul Butler, he's looked shot for a couple of years now. He's looked shot for a couple of years. There was a knockout of the year contender by a guy called Pierce O'Leary. You might have seen him before. We saw Gary Cully on there as well. Gary Cully's an interesting prospect. He's very big for the weight, but I don't know. I mean, some people keep telling me I'm still not 100% sold on Gary Cully. There's just, I don't know what it is. I think he's good. He's definitely got ability there. But I just see a few little mistakes, and I just think the minute he meets a counterpuncher who can kind of get underneath his jab, what's going to happen? Or someone who's just effective at going to his body or pinning him up again, or what would happen? It's going to be interesting. Lastly, I'll touch on Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence. It's being reported here by Mike Hoppinger that Pacquiao is reportedly facing a breach of contract lawsuit by manager Audi Ater for fighting Errol Spence next, not Mikey Garcia. It's claimed that Tara is seeking to recoup 3.3 million advance. So they've obviously, if what he's saying is true, they've obviously paid Pacquiao in advance. I may touch on this in a separate video and request an injunction to stop the fight. I'm not going to delve into that fully. I'll do that in a separate video, probably tomorrow at some stage. But I would say that could probably get sorted. But as we saw with Fury Wilder, I thought the arbitration hearing would be sorted because the way Bob Arum spoke about it, kind of it was just like, oh, it's grand. With this, watch the space. Manny Pacquiao, the plan was McGregor. He got knocked out by Poirier. And then we all thought it would be Mikey Garcia next. You know, I thought it'd be Mikey Garcia. I think the majority of people thought it'd be Mikey Garcia. Then we saw like Manny Pacquiao versus Spence. I mean, I'm still psyched about Manny Pacquiao. I hope that fight happens. But to say that caught me by surprise, caught everyone by surprise. Just was announced randomly. We were like, Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao, 42 years old, Errol Spence. I mean, Manny Pacquiao, what a man. What a man. So, that's kind of the week in a nutshell. So, I don't know how long I've been talking for, but let me know what your thoughts are on this format of video. I'd like to think I got most of what I needed to get out into this video. Let me know. I hope this does well. If it does, you know, and you just enjoy it. Obviously, I'm going to do more videos during the week, my normal kind of schedule. But I said, because I knew there was so much to cover, and this weekend has been really, really hectic for me, and I thought I can't do all the videos, and I don't have time to do them all. I wonder if I just lump them into one and do it on a Monday. What will the subscribers think? So please let me know in the comment section what you think of this format of video, of this style. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. If you like it, I will do it on Mondays from now on, as well as normal videos, of course. So let me know in the comment section. If you could, smash the like button, helps your boy out. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. I never ask for that. I don't ask for it too much because I always forget. But you get a nice little notification, you know. Your boy's videos, you know when if you're in work or something, there you go. Job done. You know. So for now, I'm going to leave you with that. Hope you enjoyed it. Hashtag GMansRocks. All that good stuff for now. I'll talk to you lads and lassies. Happy Monday, by the way. Peace.